Since I don't have anyone to talk to about this case and I am a little bit emotional, I just decided to hop on live really quickly to say I am so happy. I'm so happy to see that Akira won her case. And it is so funny because there were so many people at the beginning of all of this saying, why are those people down there? Who would catch a flight and go to North Carolina and report on this and that? I am so thankful that those people got out of the seats in the comforts of their home and went to North Carolina to report day by day what actually took place in that courthouse. It's like a lot of people don't understand that, yes, we are on the internet, but we're human beings. And just because we don't know each other, it does not mean that we cannot empathize or sympathize or even resonate with each other. What happened to Akira has happened to a lot of women. A lot of women have been betrayed and have had to deal with a lot of distrust, and they suffer from, the remnants of betrayal trauma, and they've suffered in silence. They did not have a community of people to rally for them. And some people have even gone through things even a lot much more traumatic than Akira went through. But a lot of people saw themselves in Akira because for over a year, this woman could not even use her own voice to express human emotions in terms of her disappointment, her heartbreak, or what have you, without these toxic and narcissistic people smearing her and slandering her and making false claims against her. You even had one of the people that are associated with Brenay, the sister of Brenay, this narrative talking about her mental health, just making up shit. And it was so disgusting because anytime narcissistic people lose control and they can no longer manipulate and hide and wear these masks, the first thing they want to say is someone is a liar or they're mentally ill, when no one is reflecting insanity worse than them. For Tim and Brenay's sister Corinne to sit there and make this false narrative that this woman was mentally ill and that she was a pathological liar. It was nothing but reverse psychology, and it was projection. No one has lied more than those people. No one is more insane and mentally unstable than those people. No one is more of a pathological liar, impulsive liar, and compulsive liar than those people. And I am so happy to see that today justice prevailed. There are so many people who have suffered greatly because of people lying on them, slandering them, plotting against them, betraying them, backdooring them, uprooting their lives. And unfortunately, those people did not have the legal funding to actually push for some type of legal consequence for what happened to them. And that's why so many people have rallied around Akira, because with even all of the evidence that she had, those liars still sat up there and said that she was lying. And I'm so happy to see that not only did Akira have a community of people like her mother, her grandparents, her father, her boyfriend, and all of those people, but Akira also had a great attorney. To see Robin in her element, and not only just representing the family court stuff, which was the divorce and the child support, but Robin has really demonstrated not only like long patience in this, but she was very strategic, very calculated. And she represented herself in that courthouse with so much precision. It was no high emotions or anything like that. She presented the evidence and gave it to the jury to make their call after deliberation with everything that was given to them. Because in the court of law, it's not about emotions. It's about what you can prove. It's not about anything else. And that woman was so narcissistic. So many of her attorneys prior to this, they quit, obviously, because she would not stop taunting the woman. She would not stop presenting all of this evidence against herself. No attorney wants to take on a case, no matter how much you are willing to pay, when they know that they're going to lose, okay? And then they have a fool for a client who's so narcissistic, so egotistical, so prideful, to where her desire to hurt the past spouse, it super exceeds her wanting to just settle or just be compromising or just be sensible. She has this personal vendetta against somebody that she really doesn't know. She really does not know Akira. Akira does not really know this woman. The only way they know each other is through high school, and then of course their association in terms of, the situation with Tim and Devin. But besides that, at her core, you don't know this woman, and this woman doesn't really know you outside of your association with her allowing you to come into her home and her treating you like you were family. But in terms of like her doing something to you, Brenay acts as though Akira did something to her. And all that woman did was treat her humanely and with common courtesy and way much more decency than I would have, honestly. But to get this day right here of justice for a woman who has been patient, who has been in pain, and they say, oh, this was just a money grab. That woman was in pain. Every time she showed up on camera, even in spite of all of this stuff, when she would go on TikTok and she would do these lives, you could clearly see that she was still hurting. I mean, how could you not? All of your private life is on public display. And then you wasn't even able to grieve the betrayal because the mistress side chick is flaunting your husband everywhere when the man is neglecting his children, abandoning the children and all of his responsibilities. And you're left there to pick up all of the responsibility that he just dropped on you because of lust and laziness. It was so sad, and it was such a tragedy to see how those people were doing Akira, because I wouldn't have done a dog the way that they did Akira and Devin. And so I'm so happy to see that this day finally came for Akira. And even though she's going to see Brenay again, I think it's December the 9th in court for cyber stalking, because it's like it's never ending. This will bring some type of closure for her, because this was vindication. So the same way she used social media to humiliate her is the same way social media was used to vindicate her. And I'm so happy to see somebody that I don't know, but my spirit resonates with, get justice that so many other people wanted for themselves as well. So I think a lot of people don't understand. This has nothing to do with knowing the victim. This is everything to do with just putting yourself in the victim's shoes, and some of us being in that victim's shoes and longing for justice, and it never really came. And to see someone else actually receiving the recompense, the justice, and the vindication, it's almost as if you're vicariously celebrating her justice with her. So it's a very human emotion. It's really a great celebration. And it's just not even that, it's a symbol. It's a symbol that the narcissist doesn't always win. A lot of people believe like the narcissist can just skate by and they're never going to face any real consequences. And this is a symbol that God has the final say. And I'm so happy for Akira. I'm so happy for Robin. This is going to be such a monumental thing for Robin and her firm. And I'm so happy to see this beautiful Black attorney and all of the women who are part of her firm being able to receive additional clientele because of the publicity behind this. And then also the content creator, Black Goddess in particular. I believe that she has, and people can say whatever they want to say about Black Goddess. I don't really know her. I don't follow her. But for this case sake, I've kind of tuned in here and there. I believe that she has been such a support for Akira in the way that she's been able to mobilize social media and use her platform to poke holes in the case way before this became a big public, publicly popular. Black Goddess was like right there at the beginning in terms of like just dissecting all of the details of this case. And I believe that it was her input, her compassion, and her emotional involvement, because people's like, why is Black Goddess so invested in this situation? She don't know these people. But it was her human compassion and empathy for Akira and Devin that even got a lot of other people on social media on notice when it came to this case. And I'm just so happy to see that you have people who still have a heart, who are willing to rally around people who have been done wrong. Like you can clearly see these people were drugged through the mud unnecessarily. It was no justifiable reason for why they were treated that way. Like, these people show grace, they show class, they show patience, they show humanity to these people, and they were played with. They played with them in their face, they drug their names through the mud, they taunted these people, they humiliated them, and they did this. They did this consistently. And then in the beginning stages of court, all of the cases just kept getting, the court dates kept getting pushed back and delayed. And I'm so happy also too for the judge. We need to find the name of that judge if you live in North Carolina, the name of that judge, and vote that judge back into office, because what he did today, it was unbiased. It was fair, right? He still was respectful to all parties, even the defendant who represented herself. He still allowed her the opportunity to express her case. And I think that he just really represents somebody that really did everything by the book. And I think that that judge should definitely be reelected back into that seat again. And so this is a plus for everybody. Also, future law students. This is a case study for so many future law students and current law students and future attorneys, because the way that this case was handled, especially from Attorney Robin and her team, it was just so precise. It was so professional, everything. And then also, too, we also learned about color theory when it comes to court attire, court behavior. And a lot of people were like, okay, well, what does this represent? What color did this represent? And then people start finding out about the conservative colors and things of that nature as it pertains to the court of law and just all of the officers of the court and how things are actually carried out in terms of the systematic approach to the justice system. So this has been such an educational time for so many of us, especially people who did not know all of the proper protocols for the legal system. We've learned so much with this case. And the way that Akira demonstrated restraint, patience, and class, it is such a beautiful thing to see for young Black women, because the way that she carried herself while being drugged, while being slandered, taunted, provoked, and antagonized, it is to be commended. And her parents are to be commended. Her mother, who was right there on board with her every day, representing herself to the highest degree of professionalism and support for her daughter, it is to be commended. I think that these people represent something that we haven't seen in a long time. This situation could have easily been messy on both sides, very shady and very petty. But for Akira and her people, they did not do that. They actually created a balance in this situation, and they balanced the scales. And today, justice was served for her. And so I'm just so happy to see, I'm just happy for all of these people. I don't know any of these people, but I'm just so happy to see that this has been such a monumental thing for those of us who are in the spiritual community, who talked about the narcissist and the empath and all of these other things that we talk about. Then also to the spiritual warfare that was associated with this case. It is not just a cheating scandal. It wasn't just adultery. It wasn't just alienation of affection. It was actually spiritual warfare as well. And for those of us who are spiritually aware and astute, we know that this was spiritual warfare. And today God won, as he always does. So I'm just so happy, man. I am so happy. Hi, Miss Haynes. This was definitely a situation where the narc lost. All of the spirits that encompasses the legions of spirits that encompasses the narcs, they lost. And the defendant's mother walking out of court still in pride and anger and wrath. That's how you know it's a generational curse. And it's so sad to see that even though your daughter lost, you still sat up there through pride and ego and anger and said that she'll never see a dime of that money. And you wonder why there's shame and dishonor on your family's name. People know the Kennards for shame and dishonor. And it's embarrassing because the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. You look at the mother, whoever's in close proximity to the person. Obviously, in this situation, the daughter and her mother, they're in close proximity to one another. The mother has been with her the whole way through from last Monday. And the way that mother demonstrated leadership, it was terrible. You're supposed to be the role model for your daughter. And the way that mother handled herself, it was just disgusting. She had no restraint. She had no emotional balance. She could not regulate her emotions. She was always bothered. She was triggered at every turn. She was provoking people. And even after they lost this case in public shame and humiliation and God vindicating the victim, she still showed emotional immaturity. She won't give a dime of that money. We see why your daughters with an S, are in the situation that they're in, because they have poor leadership and they have terrible counsel at home. You don't want to give your daughters any type of real serious advice. And so they're making a mess of their lives. And it's just, if we're not careful, these people, the way that they're handling this, those little girls, because there's 2 little girls attached to one of the twins, those little girls are going to inherit the same type of nasty behavior. And it's just going to be a perpetual cycle of lust, Jezebelism, control, pride, ego, covetousness, jealousy, rejection. The spirit of abandonment is there. The doing anything for love, that's the spirit of abandonment and rejection. Lack of self-love, lack of self-worth. And the mother being there in a position of leadership has displayed just terrible counsel. And you get to compare and contrast each family who showed up to court as it pertains to this debacle. You can compare and contrast the mentality of each one of those families and see why those people ended up the way that they ended up. This is a psychology lesson of a lifetime when it comes to human behavior. Water Lily said, it really is. It's so sad. It's so sad. This is bigger than just adultery. It's bigger than just somebody cheating. She does look so beautiful in that red. It's bigger than just somebody cheating. This was a free class. This was a free class in legal protocol, a free class in spiritual warfare, free class in human behavior and human psychology. You got a free college course across the board with this situation. Across the board. You say God is good. He is so good. Oh, God is the greatest. God is the greatest. This is a symbol that you reap what you sow. For months, people have been saying that, and that lady just laughed and she mocked or whatever. And you can go through, looking at the videos and looking at the comments. People would say, "You reap what you sow. You're going to reap what you sow. What goes around comes around." And she would laugh and she kept taunting. And this is somebody that plays gospel, because that's what witches do. Witches and warlocks, they love to cloak themselves and hide behind Christianity. They're fake Christians. But she was playing all that gospel and all of that stuff. But everything that she represents is the opposite of light. And that lets you know that you cannot play with God. You cannot mock God. God will not be mocked. So you can play all that gospel music that you want. You can play all that gospel music and you can sit up here and play with God all you want and talk about Jesus this and Jesus that, but you don't live it. The way that you live in the dark is the way that your life will reflect in the light. Whatever you're doing in the dark, we're going to see the consequences of that in the light. It's only but so much hiding you can do. It's only but so much cloaking you can do and so much masking you can do. Everything done in the dark will come to the light. This is a time of narcissistic collapse. Every time you turn around, a narc is being humiliated and pulled and dragged out the dark. Every time we turn around. That is not coincidental. That's spiritual. That is spiritual. The scales are being balanced on this planet. Yes, we are in the midst of some very trying times, but while we're going through these trying times, you can clearly see that the spiritual scales are being balanced on this earth. And there is a narcissistic, demonic collapse across the board. Every time we turn around, some big bad ass narc is being drugged out. And they're getting their judgment. Period. And I love to see it. I'm thankful for the day that I actually got a chance to see it. It wasn't just this, the P. Diddy situation, all of these narcissists, every last one of them. I'm so happy to see it. From regular, everyday, common people to high-profile celebrities and public figures, we're seeing a narcissistic collapse across the board. That lets you know that we are in divine alignment. It is divine timing that God is balancing the scales on this planet, that all of these healers, all of these empathic people, all of these loving people, you're not going to keep on just treating people any kind of way and thinking you're going to get away with it. She was not banking on this young lady having a whole lot of backup. She thought because she had the 2 million followers plus that her fake, it wasn't even real popularity. It wasn't even real popularity. You only just went viral because of your body parts and your long nails and whatever else you had going on. It wasn't real. It wasn't a genuine community of people. And when you decided to weaponize your popularity online against this woman, God showed you that a regular everyday girl who values her privacy can have more genuine community than you with your 2 million followers plus and whatever else you got going on. Because when God is with you, who can be against you? It don't matter about your 2 million followers. This woman had real, genuine human beings that saw themselves in her, empathized with her situation, and rallied behind her. I didn't see anybody for real show up for Brenay. Who would do that in public? Nobody. When God is with you, who could be against you? People be banking on people being isolated and alone. And you don't know what God can do in the midst of these types of situations. God will send strangers on your behalf to bear witness for your beauty and your humanity. Don't play with the Most High. Y'all think people be by themselves and ain't nobody gonna vouch for them? God will send strangers from all over this country to come and support you. I'm telling you. Mahogany said you could tell she was raised in love. Yes. Yes. Her mother did something that was so beautiful. It was a lady she was arguing with, I think one of the bailiffs or whatever in court. And the mother was on the phone, but the mother overheard the discussion and then the emotions kind of ran high. Well, when the bailiffs and everything left, the mother walked over to the lady and she just like so effortlessly calmed the lady down, balanced out her emotions. And at the end of their like exchange, their, conversation, the lady was laughing. The lady went from cursing and acting a fool to laughing. And that's how you could tell that Akira comes from that. And even with listening to the testimonies and listening to all of the evidence, she was an overgiver. She poured a lot. She gave a lot of grace. She wanted to see that everybody was human. She extended so much human grace and mercy to these people. And when you are a fool, when a person is a fool, they don't believe that they're worthy of humanity and decency anyway. And they think that kindness is weakness. They will take your kindness and they will treat it they will treat it like it's weakness, and they will exploit you, thinking that you're dumb, that you're naive, and that you're gullible. And the whole time you just a loving human being that's trying to give a nigga a chance. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to give these people a chance, and you're trying to see that they're not perfect because we're all flawed. And even with the opportunity granted, they still try to bite the hand that fed you. You still tried to bite the hand that fed you. You sit there and broke bread with these people. You were in the company of these people's home, around their children, people treating you with decency and respect. And the way that you treat them is lie on them, slander them, disrespect their home, sleeping with the people all in the marital homes, didn't even have a decency to go get a motel or a hotel, involving the children in this filthy debauchery. Like, there were so many human violations across the board. This woman better be happy that this woman took her to court and not ended up on a episode of Snap, for real. Seriously. Because some people, for real, like real hood folks, baby, your teeth would have been down your throat. And I just hate to say it, but you would have had to go get you some more fronts, because everybody don't have the patience and they don't have the wisdom to do all of this. So she better be thankful that it was a court case situation and nothing deeper. Because she kept trying to provoke this woman to anger because she could foresee, and that's how witches, little witches and spiritually manipulative people are. They could foresee that there are big things ahead of your life. They may not know all the intricate details of what's for you, but they see that you have potential, you're driven, you're determined, and you have a whole lot working for you. And with Akira talking about the only situation that they had in their marriage was the finances, she not having nothing else that Akira had. Akira had everything going on for herself, but she and her husband supposed to have been working, going to college, trying to get their skill sets and get their credentials so that they can get into a better financial tax bracket. And this woman had a little bit of money from social media and had nothing else that Akira had. No character, no class, none of that. All she had was a little taste of money. So that's that 80-20, 20-80 situation. So Akira had 80, she had 20, and she used her 20 as an enticing tool to seduce that man out of his home. And now she done lost that too. So now you down to zero. You down to 0%. So you went from 20% to 0%. God does not play. He ain't nothing to play with. You said Devin glowed up. Yeah. Oh my God. Don't even get me started on Devin. What I liked about Devin with this situation is that, and I know he has like a upcoming case against Tim. I think he's suing Tim for something too. But what I loved about Devin is that he took responsibility for his part in knowing some information that Akira didn't know. So it's one of them things where you're being backdoored, you're being betrayed. People are doing things behind your back, and it's like everybody knows but you. I don't know if anybody's ever dealt with betrayal trauma. It is so life altering. It is so gut wrenching. It is heartbreaking when you find out that everyone knows something is happening at your expense but you. So Devin, he had information about them and he decided that I'm not holding this no more. And he took responsibility and he disclosed that to Akira. But initially he felt like, you know how some people like they don't interfere, like that's not my business. I don't want to be messy or, I don't want to be blamed for that. So to see that he took accountability and he did pull her to the side and say, like, this is what is happening. I can't hold this anymore. That lets you know that he is a man of honor. He felt a guilty consciousness and he felt convicted. And he actually did disclose that information that changed everything for them. Very heartbreaking, but sometimes God has to allow your heart to be broken to free your soul. These people were not for them. And I'm so happy that God hid Devin from himself because that woman did not deserve this version of Devin. That woman did not deserve this version at all. So to see him leave that situation, pick up the pieces of his heart, mend himself back together and find the strength to really become the best version of himself and engage in self-love and take the time to heal, because he said he wasn't even dating it initially. That lets you know that the person is taking a responsibility for their journey in life, because he took a moment to pause and really reflect on what he just went through. And a lot of it was just low self-worth and a lack of self-love. And that is the spiritual warfare. Sometimes we meet these narcissistic, toxic people on our journey and we can't see them because we have on rose-colored glasses because we have codependency and some type of unresolved issues within ourselves. But we meet these people and they break your soul and they break your heart. And you have to make this decision whether you're going to keep on getting used and treated like a doormat or you're going to walk away and use this as a lesson to rebuild yourself. But then God also reveals as he rebuilds. That's a bar. God reveals as he's rebuilding. So it's a rebuild and a reveal. And you get to find out that you cannot find your happiness and ultimate love in other people. And sometimes we idolize marriage, being a wife, being a husband at the expense of our own mental health and our own personal peace. These people are not God. Marriage is not a God. A relationship is not a God. Being a mother, being a father, these are not to be idolized. These are extensions of yourself, but they're not the totality of yourself. And God just basically wants to reveal to people like you need to love yourself. It's one thing to extend grace, and then it's another thing to just, sign up and volunteer for your own personal suffering. Spiritual balance, yes. Definitely spiritual balance. You said, what am I talking about? The verdict for Akira, Montague, and Brenay, Kennard. He says even as she was leaving the courtroom, she was still mocking Akira. That's what fools do. That's what foolish people do. Foolish people have to save face. The thing about a narcissist is the only person that they end up playing is themselves. They think life is a joke. They think everything is a game, but they're doing that only in the public. Once they get into the confines of their own mind where nobody can see, those people are being tormented day and night. They're being tormented. They cannot live with themselves. Their whole life is a charade. And so she has to do that to make it seem like even though I lose, I still win. Girl, please. You lost. You lost. You lost. You lost when you did not see that you needed therapy. You didn't need no relationship. You really didn't need no marriage. You needed a therapist because there's a lot of unhealed childhood trauma with that woman and really that family. And you can look at those people and see that there's trapped trauma from the mother to the daughters, and they're going to pass that to the granddaughters. And that's just a sad thing to see. It's a lot of trapped trauma in that maternal side of their family. And as you can see, Tim's father and grandfather, they didn't show up. The paternal sides didn't show up. Akira's father showed up. But I think Tim's grandfather and father, they like Akira. They're the sensible people. They're not going to show up and enable no foolishness like that. You said generational curses. That's all it is. The same old patterns and cycles yet again. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And also, too, this was a lesson for people who want relationships and marriage to understand that when you date someone, you're not just dating them, you're potentially dating their family, too. So it's important to vet potential partners and their family, because it is so easy to end up having children and being attached to people who unfortunately do not come from good bloodlines. Some people don't come from my father used to call it good stock. They just don't come from the best people. And you could like a person all day long, but if they are in close proximity and they have a close relationship with dysfunctional family members, you're going to inherit that same type of problem. You can't overlook that, because when you marry somebody, you marry their family too. If they have a dysfunctional family and they're still in communication, you're going to end up inheriting the same problems because you didn't vet properly. Because if I like you, but your mother is a very detrimental and dysfunctional person and you're close to your mother, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not going to proceed and date you, because I would literally be signing up for my own suffering, because you have a liability attached to you. So unfortunately for Akira, that's what happens to her. Like her child, how are you the grandparents to these children's mother, but you gonna side with an outsider over the children's mother? Can you think about that, how narcissistic, dysfunctional, and toxic people operate? They don't have principle. They don't operate off of honor. They don't care about ethics or values. It's just emotions and a little bit of money. It's not no real money over there. So it's crumbs and a little bit of money. You're going to side with an outsider over your grandchildren's mother? Even if the mother and the father are not together, that's an extension of your family. That's your blood. You're going to side with an outsider, this woman on the outside, over the mother of the grandchildren's mother, knowing that this woman was a decent woman and that she's not harmful and that she's not problematic. That lets you know that those people, they're not wrapped too tight for real. You're not wrapped too. If I was the grandparents, I would rather want my daughter-in-law to be Akira than this outside woman. That woman is shameful. I wouldn't want that woman a part of my family. It's an embarrassment. That kind of lets you know the caliber of people that they are. When you are a parent, you want the best for your children. That all the way down to the career, to their partners and their grandchildren, to your grandchildren. You want the best. for your children. That woman coming into that family that would what do you call it, muddy up the family. That would not look good. But these people have a poverty mentality. They're poverty stricken in the mind and in the spirit. They're not just broke in the pockets, they're broke in the mind and they're broke in the spirit. He said, this is a special type of wickedness. It is. And all of those people over there, they're operating in that same energy: pride, ego, and jealousy. When I listened to the lies that they told, and I listened to I looked at the way that they handled these two people in particular, Akira and Devin. You can clearly see that it was jealousy. And people will be like, well, what do they have to be jealous of? These people's spirit, their spirit, and the characteristics that they exude. Both Akira and Devin, they're mild mannered, they're courteous, they show a lot of emotional regulation. Even in the midst of all of this, the way that they've handled this was very, it was very demure. It was very civilized. And I can easily see Tim's family and his immediate family, and the Kennard people being jealous of them for the way that they handle themselves, the way they carry themselves, the way they're so likable. If you really get to know a little bit about Devin and Akira, you see them on live. They're goofy, they're funny, they have a great sense of humor. Both of them has shown that they're pretty optimistic about life. They're very positive people. They're unproblematic. Even with this situation, they really didn't talk too horrible about neither one of them. So we kind of got to see the difference between the two, and that's easy for them to be jealous of. And they wasn't expecting for them to come out of their shell, because both Devin and Akira were living their lives pretty private. And both of them, they seem like they kind of gatekeeped a lot of their personality. So Brenay and Tim was not expecting for them to stand up for themselves and put boundaries up the way that they did. And all narcissists are that way. Because a lot of people who used to be people pleasers, you shrunk yourself and you made yourself smaller to make these people feel comfortable. So you give them an inch and they take a mile, and they just run with that. And next thing you know, they're trying to run all over you and exploit you and make it seem like you're dumb and you don't see what type of time it is, because they think they're playing in your face. And the whole time you're just building a RICO case. The whole time. They think you're stupid because you're quiet and you're not saying anything. And the whole time you just putting all the pieces together, because almost every empathic person I know has great pattern recognition. We may seem like we're in a slumber. We may be under that narcissistic spell just for a minute. But once God pulls us out of that spell and break that bind off of us and remove the scales from our eyes, we start to recollect and recall and recant everything that we thought we overlooked. But really your subconscious, it recorded it. But if you're under a narcissistic spell, you don't really know what's going on. You're in a mental fog, because it is spiritual warfare. They're warlocks and witches. So you really don't know what's going on until you step out of the picture. Once you can get out of the frame and you can clearly see, God give you vision, you're like, oh my God, how did I let that slide? And then I let that slide. And then you start putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. You start building that RICO case. You put in their petition to God, and it's on from there. The narcissist is no match for a praying man or woman. They are no match, because once you get out of that situation and you go no contact, or you create some type of spiritual and energetic distance from those people, you're no longer in their energy. They cannot siphon from you anymore. You're clear. You have clarity now. And then God just started revealing. Holy Spirit just started giving you revelation, one after another. And you're like, oh, aha. And then you start get the building. You put in that petition to the heavenly courts. And once you get that judgment, you will see that narcissists fall every time. It never fails. Narcissists do not succeed in the end. They do not, and they will not succeed against you if you are a praying man or woman of faith and you're diligent about your case. And it doesn't have to be this type of situation. That doesn't have to be this type of situation, but this could just be a spiritual situation where people have robbed time from your life rob your confidence, destroyed your reputation, whatever it was that they did to you. Once you petition, thank you so much. Once you petition, once you step back and you give it to God, God will reveal. You start putting all the pieces together, and then you go to the heavenly courts and put in your case. And once you see the judgment, you will see what happens to that narcissist. If they don't end up in a situation like this, where it's a legal situation, or they end up going to jail, you'll start to just see the breakdown of their life. They will not have any stability. They will not. Whatever the narcissist wish for you, it will be their manifestation. Anything that you wish for another person, especially if they are a praying person and God has his hand on their life, that will boomerang. It will surely become your reality. How narcissists operate is their dream is your nightmare, and your nightmare is their dream. This is how dark people operate. It's the opposite, and it's always in reverse. So these people thought that they were going to build their house of stability off of the tears of other people. They were going to break down Akira and Devin and build a life of stability and go on and live in peace and bliss and lust and all of this other crap. And these people, it was going to be at these people's expense. Destiny swap, run off into the sunset with their favor and their blessings and their love, and nothing was going to be done about it. Oh, I love to see it, because this is a lesson of a lifetime for some people. You don't get to just do people any kind of way, because you don't know who you doing any kind of way. Everybody not going to lay down and just pretend like they out for the count. Some people going to fight, and you don't know how they're fighting. For those of us who appear like we're isolated, we don't have a big crew of people with us, we fight in the spirit. Yeah, we're fighting in the spirit. And if we shed one tear, you're going to pay. You're going to pay one way or another. You're going to pay on the front end, or you're going to pay on the back end, but you will pay, because you cannot build your life on breaking the spirits, the minds, and the hearts of other people. Period. I think you're going to get away with it. Tri says, you have me in tears. I don't know how you came across my FYP, but I'm so grateful. Glory be to God. Usually don't be on here as much as of lately. For those of you guys who are not aware, I'm a trauma recovery coach. I specialize in all things trauma, but mostly I specialize in spiritual trauma, helping people rebuild their lives after spiritual warfare, spell work, root magic, all of that type of stuff. And in this situation, for me, I definitely saw that this was a narcissistic and empathic situation. This was a case, and I don't think Akira and Devin even knows it, but I think that they are people of faith, if I'm not mistaken. I know that they are Christian. But I believe that both of those young people have an undiscovered anointing on their lives. I do. That's just what God has placed on my heart to see with them. As a seer, that is what I see. I see an anointing on both of these people, for people to move out of their seats, out of the comfort of their home, for people that they do not know. God has his hands on this. This was not just no regular people. And just because these people are not high profile in the physical realm, it does not mean that they're not high ranking in the spiritual, and that they're not that they're not going to be used for a purpose for God in terms of this world. People can go from ordinary to extraordinary overnight. And I believe that Devin and Akira are definitely people with a untapped anointing. And I pray that God reveals to them what that anointing and call is. And I pray that they're able to use their platform, even though they may not have wanted it. And that's what happens to all anointed people. You get drugged out of the backgrounds of your life. You never wanted any of this stuff. You don't want the spotlight. You want to live low key. You try to be incognito. And then God allows something so traumatic to happen. He doesn't do it, but he will allow it to happen, to use that to take you to your next. So whatever is being used for bad can surely be used for good. And so God will definitely take a tool of the enemy and he'll use it for a tool of divinity. And that could happen overnight. God don't just move for anybody. He can use, people that we think are ordinary people. He can use them for a major purpose. And I believe that Akira and Devin are definitely being set up for God to do something very mighty in their lives. It's going to be greater than they ever expected. And it's not something that they signed up for, because no chosen person signs up for any of this. They don't want the spotlight. They don't want the fame. It's the narcissists who manufacture themselves into these fake positions of favor, trying to mold themselves into some type of people's champ and trying to be popular and all that. And it never ends for them. It doesn't end well for them because they use money and status as a god and an idol. And then they get the platform and they don't do nothing with it. You get the platform to, nanny boo-boo on people, to stun on people, to be a consumer, going shopping all day and every day. Look what I got. Look what I got. What's the purpose of having a platform? You know what I'm saying? And you talking about you an influencer, influencing people to do what? Because all I've seen you do is engage in gluttony and lust and disrespect of other people. What are you influencing people to do? So sometimes when God will see you not using your platform properly and the person that you're trying to weaponize it against, he'll take your platform, your public persona, and he'll give it to somebody else. He'll give it to a whole nother person. This person that you thought was shy, the person that you thought had a little timid voice, he'll give them some confidence and put them on the world stage where you wanted to be. You wanted the fame, you wanted the infamy, you wanted the popularity. He'll take it from you and give it to them. And they didn't even want it. And once he put them in position, he'll give them the words to speak, give them the confidence and show them how to move. And this person that once was so quiet and so shy, man, look, you won't even be able to recognize them when God put his hand on them. I'm trying to tell you. Y'all better leave quiet people alone. Leave decent people alone. When you see somebody treating you with some respect and some courtesy, you get behind the scenes and get jealous and get with all these people, start plotting and scheming and setting up traps for people and trying to dog people out and think it's an inside key to get amongst yourselves and do all kind of dirty things to people because you think they're weak or you think they're naive or childlike or gullible. And the whole time the person is just treating you with respect the way they would want to be treated. But because you come from a dog-like environment, you're not used to that. You're not used to being treated with kindness. You're not used to being treated with courtesy. And you think somebody's a fool because they're treating you properly. And then God got to teach you a lesson of a lifetime. And now the humiliation that you wanted for Devin and Akira, look at you. And now you got to go outside of the courtroom with egg on your face and put your hands up and pretend like you're unbothered. You are $1.75 million bothered. And even if you decide that you don't want that money, hiding it alone is going to make your head spin off your shoulders. Trying to hide it, trying to do bankruptcy, try to put it over here, try to hide it in a trust, try to put it in your mama name, try to put it in your sister name. Like, you're going to still lose that money one way or another. It's coming out your purse. You are in debt plus interest for what you've done to people. I bet she don't get one dime. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. If you have premeditated that you're not going to pay that woman what you owe her, you won't have that money. That's the thing about it. You still won't get to enjoy that money because you're going to have to go somewhere and try to hide it. And these people can easily get a financial forensics and they'll find it. They're going to find that money. You're going to come up out of it some kind of a way. What you say, meow? You say it's quite sickening how she uses God's name to justify this. Yes, it is. And she hides behind that gospel. Whenever she put that gospel on, you see, that's how witches operate. Whenever she put that gospel on, that's how I knew she done tried to cast something. And she's trying to cloak in that energy to try to offset whatever she's done. So every time she used to have a court case, she'll turn on some gospel music when she's about to get ready to go to court, because she thinks that these people, they study energy and they do incantations and they set out intentions, or they'll get somebody else to do the work for them. But they believe that if they go into this divine energy, they encloak themselves, that they'll get some type of spiritual protection in the spirit, and that they can trick the spirit into giving them some type of manufactured grace or mercy. Man, look, God is not a fool. And the funny thing about it is they think they're hiding from everybody. You don't know who's prophetic. You don't know who's a seer. You don't know who's spiritually gifted. People can see past that. When Akira said she found those teeth around her house, I knew then that this was spiritual warfare and it wasn't just a case of infidelity and somebody cheating. I knew that then. Hold on, guys. You said she has a high-ranking Jezebel spirit. Yes, you can look in her eyes, even if you're not spiritually astute and you're not gifted to see, you can still look at her eyes and tell that she has something on her. Also, the way that she moves. A lot of people, they don't really observe people the way a lot of introverted people do. If you're an introvert, you're not spending so much time talking, so you're not distracted as much as like an extroverted person. Extroverted people, they're distracted because they're talking, they're moving around all the time. But when you're introverted and you're an observer, you can kind of just step back and just watch the movements, the body posture, the body language of people. You can find out who people are a lot more by what they don't say than what they do say. And when you look at her, there's an oral fixation there, which is lust. She's always playing with that tongue ring thing. Also, all of her movements are very lustful, very seductive. It's very, it's sexual based. She's also very spiteful, and she talks with her eyes. She always, tries to convey some level of pettiness when she's speaking directly to the camera, but she's really speaking to Akira, hoping that Akira will catch it, or maybe her sister. So there's a very nastiness about that woman. It's nasty, just a nastiness. And it's just so sad because she's so young and she's, I think, 26 years of age, and she's only a quarter in of her life, and it's already a mess like this. And that is the fault of her mother and her father. A quarter of your life plus one, and you're already right here at this stage in your lifetime. You haven't even got a chance to really do anything. She hasn't done anything major. You haven't done anything influential, but you managed to make a mess out of your life, and you've only been here for a quarter plus one. That's really sad. It's real sad. And according to her, she doesn't like her parents or her family or what have you, but you're still in association with them, which is what narcissistic people do. They don't like their family, but they're codependent, so they're not going to leave their family because they are afraid to be alone. So she stays in an environment that caused the trauma and the drama and the brokenness in her life. And so she stays in that environment, and she's still broken, and then she seeks out people to break. So when she went to see her friends, she said she was going to see her friend's husband with Tim, and they were going to surprise her best friend, for a party. She was sticking out her tongue then in reference to that woman's husband. So that lets you know that there's lust. There is rejection, because people that lead with lust and seduction, they have been rejected somewhere along life. They don't feel like they're worthy of anything but in that sack. They don't feel like they can do anything of any worth or to have someone attracted to them unless they can perform some type of favors intimately. And that's a sad place to be. And her whole life is just lust of food, lust of intimacy, just lust. Ugh. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. And all of that pleasure has gotten you in the hole in life. You're living in a hole. And you can put your hands up and laugh all you want, but you're living your life in a hole because of lust, because of brokenness, because of abandonment, because of some level of childhood neglect, brokenness, not feeling like you're enough, only feeling like you are worth of your body parts. The only time you feel like you're lovable or of any type of worth is when you're using your body parts. That's a sad place to be in life. Talking about, I took your spot, I took your man. Ma'am, you don't have a man. There's nothing manly about that young man. That man is broken his damn self. He's struggling with his own identity in many ways. I won't, falsify nobody's situation, but I can clearly see that the young man is struggling with his identity. He's not happy with his masculinity. He's not happy with who he is as a person. He can't even get past laziness. He doesn't even want to live a life of productivity. And he's had it sweet across the board, trying to live off the backs of women. And then triangulating women, using women against women to try to make himself seem like he's not what he is. And the truth be told, he may not even be interested in women, because a man, a real man, a traditional man, does not put women against each other, even if he is a slore. Even if the man is loose with himself, he still is not going to allow the mother of his children to be dragged through the mud by some outside woman, because he still operates with some level of principle, even if he can't control his own sexual desires. You're not going to come in here and just disrespect the mother of my children. He doesn't even care about those children. That person is not a man. So you didn't inherit nothing but a problem. You took a problem for a woman who didn't deserve it, and you inherited your own karma and the consequences of your own lust. So now Tim and Brenay are both each other's lessons of a lifetime. Every day of her life, she's living her life in paranoia, looking over her shoulders, having to watch this man to see if he's going to do her the way that he did his wife. And surely he is. Both of you lack discipline. Okay? And every day he's going to be looking at the digits in the computer system to see how much money y'all got left before he walk away from your situation, because he's lazy. He wants life easy. He don't want to work with, he don't want to make a living off the sweat of his brow. He doesn't see any honor in making a living for his family and being a good man of honor. His word don't mean a thing. That man sat on that stand and said that I could tell the person that I love them and I don't mean it. Right there, he told you, I'll tell you whatever you need to hear to get by. That right there lets you know that man takes the least, the path of least resistance. So if it wasn't Akira, it's you. If it's not you, it'll be your sister. And if it ain't your sister, it'll be somebody else. He does not have honor. He don't honor nothing. His word don't mean a thing. And you thinking you got a prize. Girl, please, you got a problem. You got 99 problems. You got 99 problems. Okay? I got your man. That woman, once that woman completely healed, she gonna look back and say, what in the world was I thinking? Once she come completely out of that spell, what was I thinking? Say he's not a prize, he's a problem. That's all he is. And then they said towards the end of this situation, before they even reached a verdict, he left and never came back. Or he stepped out and didn't come back. That right there is an indicator of what is about to come in that lady's life. When he needs you most, because she's in that situation because of their infidelity. When you need him most, he's going to leave. He will not be there. If he left his wife while the children are very young and they're at child rearing ages, and he skipped out because they were having financial problems and he didn't want the responsibility of doing what he was supposed to do as a husband, what you think he about to do to you with all these problems that you and him inherited together? That man is going to skip out. He don't want these issues. He'll help you make them. But when it comes time to face them, he's not about to ride and die with you. You're the only rider. And he already know what you will accept. You'll accept anything just as long as his presence is there sometimes. And the thing about a narcissist, when two narcissists get together, it's always one that's a lot much more malignant than the other. And she think that she's just such a Jezebel and that she is so, overprotective and watching this man. When this dude get through with her, she's going to wish she would have repented a long time ago. Because when these people take their mask off, you would think you saw Satan himself. She hasn't seen anything. If he think that he showed no regard for Akira when she needed him most while she was going through her miscarriage and she was going through postpartum depression, she is about to see the devil himself. She ain't seen nothing yet. And if lust is what she likes, he's about to withhold all kind of sex from her. He's going to make sure she never get no intimacy, because they go after whatever they gave you in the beginning is what they're going to weaponize against you towards the end. And if he finds out that she, has to have that and she's craving that to feel like they have a close connection, he's going to start withholding that from her. Because if he can't go out there and be with who he wants to be with and do what he wants to do, he's going to start just weaponizing whatever leverage he has over her. And right now that leverage is affection and closeness. So he's going to start withdrawing from her, and that's going to drive her insane. Watch. Because she already is not happy in her own body and in her own self. So that's what we're going to see. And that is a shame, because she thinks that she is kind of off and need an evaluation. Oh, if he sat there and caused his wife all that pain and mental anguish, he definitely is about to beat her psyche into the ground. And Brenay she's not all the way there already. So she's already not there. So he's definitely about to start playing a lot of mind games with her. And it's a sad situation, because she signed up for this. You think that you are taking a prize from another woman, but you actually inherited that woman's problem. And not only that, you end up volunteering for your own suffering because you're spiteful. And the way that you got that man was under evil intentions. Nothing good is going to come out of this situation at all. At all. He already pick and talk about her weight and stuff every chance he get, and try to put it off on the other people, put it off on the people online. Like, because this is embarrassing. Not only is it embarrassing, it's not financially feasible for him. The whole point of him being there is for the incentives of the finances. Now that's gone. That's gone. Yes, the same way you get them is how you lose them. Every time. Every time. Ain't no loyalty among thieves. They both stole the joy, the confidence, the trust of other people. They said one of the text messages to Akira from Devin was like, this dude was like my brother, and he played in my face. Like, once that stuff hits you, once you come out of betrayal, once you come out of people like just using your kindness for a weakness and plotting up on you and really just destroying you from the inside out, like, because they're right there in close proximity, they're right there up on you, and so they're stabbing you in the front, in the back, and the sides, and one day it finally clicks, like, I need to get up out of here. Like, I don't deserve this. And once you remove yourself from out of it, then you start to see it, and you're like, it hits you like a ton of bricks, how evil, how wicked, how vindictive, how malicious people treated you that you love with all your heart. People that you had the best intentions for wanted to break you and destroy you. Even now, when we look at Devin and his situation between him and Tim, you can clearly see that Tim is very jealous of Devin, because Tim is living the old timeline of Devin. So the destiny swap that Brenay thought she was going to get is the worst season of Akira's life with Tim. And the destiny swap that Tim thought he was going to get with Devin is the oldest season of Devin, when he was down and out, when he was depressed, when he was getting fat, when he was, struggling with his confidence. You can look at the life of Tim and Brenay and see that they both inherited the worst seasons of each other's spouse's life under the intention to destiny swap. They tried to take the best parts of those people and thought they were going to skip off in favor, but they ended up skipping off in curses. And that's why it is so important to be mindful when you're trying to take the life of somebody else. You don't know what type of season of their life you're taking. It might look good on the outside, but once you get in the inside, and you get to see the behind the scenes, this person was living in hell. They was making it look like heaven. Just because somebody can put on a mask and put lipstick on a pig, it don't mean that they're not living in mud behind closed doors. So these people thought, each one of them thought that they were going to take the positions of each other's spouses, and thought that Akira and Tim had stability and love and all of these, and thought that Devin and Brenay had the money and the notoriety, and the whole time they was each living in some level of hell behind the scenes. And then when they walked away, God released the divine inheritance for both of those young people, for them to rebuild, to reveal, and then to rebuild, and then go into the best versions of their life and be able to inherit the favor that he had already had for them without the attachments of those demonic people who they were with before. Because God didn't want to release that to them. He didn't want to release the favor to them because they had attachments on them. They had lessons that they had to learn. And now that those people are no longer attached to them, now God can release the floodgates of heaven and heaven's will for their life. Yeah, they thought it was sweet. Hold on, guys. What you say, Krista DeBrett, you said you've been at work. What happened? No, this was just a case of we're talking about the verdict of Brenay and the TikToker Brenay and Akira. And that Akira Montague won against Brenay in terms of the alienation of affection case down there in North Carolina. Yep, she won. According to the people down there on the ground, they said that she got $250,000 for criminal communications and $1.5 million for her alienation of affection. So $1.75 million in total. You said Korean is next. I really hope so. I think that Korean needs a lesson. She needs a real serious lesson. She's also in the same energy. They share the same spirit. You know, spirits transfer. She's also in the same spirit as Brenay. She's spiteful. She's vindictive. They both have a covetousness. They both come from the same household. So, of course, they're going to struggle with some of the same traumas possibly. But, yeah, she has also a vendetta against Akira. And I've noticed something about these toxic women in particular, just zooming in on the women, not saying that I am bypassing Tim, but I noticed something about these toxic women in particular because they're so malicious and so calculated and strategic about trying to uproot and dismantle another woman's life. Have you noticed that some of the most treacherous women who betray other women, they don't like classy women. They don't like classy women. They don't like they don't like feminine women. I'm not knocking nobody else, but they have a tendency to not really like feminine women, classy women, intelligent women, women who are driven and determined, who have their own light, women who are not piggybacking on the lights of other people, and women who don't run around in packs. Narcissistic, malicious, and toxic women, they struggle with self-esteem issues. They run around in packs and they try to befriend the popular girl who is like naturally popular, not like she's being a follower. Because they talked about Akira, and Akira was pretty popular in high school. She was the pretty girl. You know, she dressed very well put together. And I do think there's some aspect of colorism here too, because I remember one of them talking about something about light skin or something, some foolishness like that. But I do think that there is a lack of self-love on both of those twins' part, which is why they probably were so loose and had a bad reputation. They did not receive real love at their home. And so they got into the high school, the school environment, and they got to compare and contrast themselves to different girls. And you can clearly see when somebody comes from love, they don't have to carry themselves in a loose way to get male attention or to get friendship. And I think that that's where a lot of the envy is coming from. Akira doesn't have to try to make people like her. She's just a laid back young lady. She's cool. She has a beautiful smile, a beautiful presence about herself. And even in this situation, we didn't have to know a whole lot of the details about this situation. We just looked at the situation based on Black Goddess and all of the other content creators who really talked about this case, just kind of like poking holes in it, revealing some things out of the documents and whatever else as it relates to the situation outside of the narrative that Brenay and Tim wanted to paint. And then and Devin started talking. So we kind of start putting, the pieces together, and we could clearly see that these people were being wronged and victimized. And Akira, when she did show a little bit of her personality, it was so refreshing. She's so childlike in terms of just bubbly, laid back. She don't do too much. She's also a woman of principle. She treat her children and her family like they're sacred. She's not seeking attention. She's not putting her children online saying, look at my kids. I'm a good mom. She's not trying to get clout off her kids and nobody. She really never even wanted to be on this platform. So the way that she's handled herself, it has been so stellar and admirable. And I find that malicious women who backdoor other women and betray women, they try to befriend you because of those admirable qualities. They don't have those qualities. They don't have those characteristics. So the thing that make people naturally draw to you, that allure and that natural appeal, they don't have it. They got to do too much to get some attention. They got to gossip and be mean girls and click up in packs and do all kind of malicious things to try to get some type of attention and get people to like them. They're petty and they're shady and they got to crack, underhanded jokes and all pick other people apart to make themselves look like something that they're not. But when they get a woman coming on the scene who's authentic, happy in herself, not afraid to be herself, they don't know what to do with that. Philly girl said, does Corinne have baby by 10? I'm not really for sure. I don't know if not Akira, but Corinne and Tim have a baby together. People are saying that the little girls look like him, but I'm not really for sure. So I don't know. I don't know the tea on that. I don't want to run with no gossip. They do resemble, but I don't know the situation on that. Tree says, it's pure evil. I dealt with this my whole life. Yes, if you're in a certain essence as a woman, if you're naturally likable and you have an authentic personality, you're going to deal with that. That's the pros and cons of being authentic, especially if you are somebody that don't seek a whole lot of attention. You're happy with yourself. That right there exudes some level of light. And even though people can't see it, they can feel it. They can sense that you're happy. You're not fighting for validation or approval. And for women who do have to do that, they think that what you have is an admirable quality, but they don't feel like they can have it because they're not willing to put in the work. These people take the path of least resistance. So the stuff that you have acquired through self-awareness, facing yourself, facing your demons, facing your lower nature, overcoming it, conquering it to get to a better place in life, to be able to display these better characteristics. These people don't want to do all that work because it takes discipline and sacrifice to put down vices and addictions and habits and bad character. Like, it's easy to be mean and nasty and shady and petty and dramaful. It is so easy to do that. And as a matter of fact, you will receive more popularity and you'll get more social incentives to be that way, because people are naturally messy and human beings are addicted to drama. But when you make a decision to overcome all of that and decide that you want to conscientiously just show up as a decent person with dignity and integrity, that's hard to show up doing that consistently. That is a conscious choice. Nobody is just naturally kind. That is a conscious choice to treat people with common courtesy and decency. It used to be common, but that is a choice that you're making. And these people, they just operate on default. Whatever the default setting is, that's what they do, because they don't have to do the work. And so they see you a certain way, not knowing that the results that they're looking at is coming from hard work. You are making these decisions to change yourself for the better. And they don't want to do that. They are mentally, spiritually, and emotionally lazy. So they would rather just get close enough to you to mimic, to study you, mimic that, and then try to take it from you by causing you trauma, so you can go from the light energy to get into some dark energy and start becoming jaded, distrustful, and mean-hearted and mean-spirited, because you will start to internalize what they did to you, take it personal, and be like, okay, well, me being a nice or kind person is going to get me backdoored or get me used and abused. So instead of being the victim, people decide to be the villain or to be the perpetrator. So it's a lot of people that think they got to be one or the other, and you don't have to choose either end of that spectrum. You could just make a decision to move accordingly. I don't have to treat you like anything. I don't have to go out here and be jaded just because people have betrayed me or treated me a certain kind of way, because I've dealt with jealousy my whole life. I don't have to deal with that. What I'm going to do is move accordingly. But at certain times, I'm going to stand up for myself and defend myself when it is necessary. And when it's also necessary to pull up a boundary, I'll do that too. But you're not going to force me into darkness if I am of the light. I love the light. I love the favor that comes with being of the light. I love being under the umbrella and the protection of God. And you're not going to drag me into no dark stuff. No, I'm cool on all of that. I'm going to deal with you with righteous indignation. There's a time and place for things. And once you really understand that you don't have to be kind to people that are hurting you, but you can draw a line in the sand and say, don't cross this line. You out of order, right? I'm not the aggressor, but I'm sure, damn for sure, not going to always be on the defense. I can be on the offense by just warning you right now. Look, this is where I draw the line, creating a boundary. Don't overstep that boundary. Once you do that, you're out of alignment. And now I have the right to defend myself. That is just natural universal law. So these people, they're not used to a certain caliber of people. That's why they get enamored with you. They admire you. They want to get close to you, and they want everything that you have. Everything. But even when they get it, they don't even know what to do with it. You can even see that with this situation. You got all of that stuff temporarily. You got a little shine temporarily. And look at what you did to it. Even the opportunity to represent yourself, which I never would have done that, but you went in there and you had the opportunity to represent yourself, to sway the jury, to see you in a humane way and to give you some type of grace. And you took the opportunity to still dig at this woman because you're self-sabotaging. You're self-sabotaging. And then the sad part about it is she wanted to be called Miss Montague so bad, and everywhere on every news publication, they're still regarding her as Kennard. And the sad part about all of this confusion, she got a new page up. She put it up under Miss Montague, but then in the bio for business inquiries, it says Brenay.mayo. You're wearing all of these different names. Listen to how unstable all of it is. You got all these different names. The people are calling you Kennard. You're calling yourself Montague. But in your bio, you don't even have enough decency to get in a different frequency and change your business email. You got it under Mayo, somebody else's surname. You see how you fracture your frequency from all over the place? You think you're so smart and you're doing all this spiritual warfare against people, but you don't even have the basic understanding to filter the frequency. You're all over the place, like your life. You don't even want to agree on, you can't even agree to one surname. You're everywhere. And your life is everywhere. Lacking stability and foundation. All of these things are spiritual symbols of a lack of foundation. If she knew better, she'll get her a counselor. She'll get her some type of spiritual coach. She'll get her somebody to really help her really dig to the deepest depth of her trauma, and figure some things out and cut off that situation. If I was her, I would go and annul that marriage. It's already cost you enough. But of course, pride and ego won't allow any narcissist to be self-reflective. They can't do introspection. But if it had been my child who brought me all this shame and dishonor, man, look, you need to annul this. You need to cut this dude off. He's not adding anything to this family. If that was my son-in-law, you got to do something about this, ma'am. You need to go and annul this, or I'm going to have to excommunicate you because you bringing shame. That person is dead weight to the family. What's the purpose of having a male figure come into the family tree, and he's not adding anything? Why would you want a son-in-law who's not even adding anything to the life of your daughter? All he's done has been extracting and making withdrawals. Ever since your daughter has been associated with the man, he has been doing nothing but running her life into the ground. And you got the nerve to pretend like you a Christian and tell him to lead the meal in prayer because he's the man of the house. But your daughter's name is on the lease. But he's the man of the house, and he ain't covering bills nowhere. You it's it's that bloodline. We look at people, we look at the age, and we say chronologically they're 25, they're 30, they're 40, they're 50, but wherever you are in your life is a reflection of the foundation that you came from. And if you do not like the foundation that you came from, and it was a faulty one or a dysfunctional one, you have to do the work to break it, and then you have to create a new one. But unfortunately, these people don't understand. They don't understand the laws of life. It don't matter your age. What your makeup and the decisions that you're making is coming from a foundational place. It's the way you were raised to think. Your outlook on life came from your family tree, the root. So it doesn't matter about the age, the principles, the values or lack of values, the ethics, your outlook, your perspectives, the mindset, all that came from your home or whoever was in close proximity to rear you. It came from that person. And the whole time we was wondering who is in her ear giving her all of this terrible counsel. And it was probably their mother. Whole time it was probably the mom. And there's so many narcissistic women just like that. They have terrible mothers or female guardians who give them horrible advice on purpose. Sometimes your mother does not want you to advance in life. So she'll give you bad advice to choose a horrible partner. Or everything you do, she'll enable it and just say, yes, baby. Yes, baby. She'll see you going down the wrong path, knowing you're headed to a ditch or a dead end, and she still will say, yes, baby, because she don't want to see you graduate to another stage of life and outdo her, when each generation is supposed to go further than the next. But when you come from a dysfunctional household with people who do not understand legacy, they don't care nothing about what you do with your life. That woman sat up there and yelled, and she won't get a dime. Just embarrassing on all fronts. And the twin sister got the nerve to sit at home in her mother's house in a room that looked like it's for a 14 or 15-year-old and sit there and say, with two children in tow, with no man around anywhere, and say that Akira is a pathological liar and that she is mentally ill, when no one has displayed illness in lying other than she, her sister, and Tim. It's the projection for me and the reverse psychology for me, because it never fails. It never fails. Not with all of this humiliation, they still won't learn the lesson. That woman's still about to go home and press Snapchat and get on all them, throw 50 filters on her face and go up on there and try to be spiteful and taunting. Guarantee you her next video is going to be shady. She may not even talk about this case. She probably try to pretend like she's going on a haul, going shopping somewhere or something like that to throw people off. But she's going to say something indirectly shady and taunting about this situation, because narcissistic people, they never learn. They will be young fools all the way to old elderly fools. They never learn. I've never seen too many narcissists change the era of their ways. I don't know what it is with those people. I don't know what happened to them that broke them so badly to where they're so possessed that they cannot get deliverance. But I've never really seen no narcissist turn their life around for real and really get delivered. Haven't seen it, because you have to acknowledge the error of your ways to be delivered. And she got some whoever hurt her, she hasn't forgiven them. And if it's the mother, she hasn't forgiven her mother, or whoever, the mother's boyfriend, whatever you have not healed, it's going to keep showing up in your decision making. Your life is going to be, your decisions are going to be based on your traumas. You said they really don't change. I've never seen a narcissist change. I've never. And you could pray 1,000 nights and cry and all of that stuff. You can intercede and all of that. I have never seen a narcissist change, especially not a malignant one. I've never seen a malignant one change. They need real serious deliverance. And you can be self-aware all you want, but there's still some level of they still receive some type of level of dopamine, some high to playing games with people. Like, I don't think that desire ever really leaves to them. It's like a drug. It's like an energetic drug for them. You say, what type do you class Brenay? I would say in Brenay's case, I believe that Brenay is a overt narcissist who suffers also with some level of MPD, but I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist, but from what I can see, just based on the DSM-5 and the classifications, she does appear to be an overt narcissist, probably also borderline MPD, and she does also have some level of arrested development. Like, you can easily see that with Brenay. I would not say that she's a malignant narcissist. I can't, unless she's hiding that, unless it's a covert aspect of her. But I can definitely see her narcissism is overt, and I can definitely see that she has multiple personality disorder. You can see that. You can clearly see that. She has all of the signs. The way that she lives, her house being completely disorganized, leaving dishes for days at a time. All of those are signs. Yeah, so you could definitely see that. And then her fixation with she takes the personality traits of others and she tries to embody them. She doesn't try to make anything her own. I don't see her being inspired to make something her own. She literally tries to embody people, whether it's B. Simone or E. Kane or Akira or Corinne, whoever's around that she takes a liking to, she almost wants to possess them. It's a weird thing. It's a free and it's a great psychology class and course to kind of just watch these people, observe them, and then kind of look at the people around you. Nothing against people. I'm just saying, I'm a people watcher. I like to kind of just observe people, and you can kind of just see the pattern from one person to the next. And then you can also observe yourself and dissect yourself. Like, do I display any of these characters? Do I display any of these characteristics? Oh my God, where am I in error? God, fix it, Lord. You say yes. She don't have no person. She have, what do you say? She don't have a personality. No, her personality is bits and pieces of other people's personality, and that has to be an incarcerating thing, to not be able to find yourself. If you know what I mean, like to be housing yourself. And I'm a bit philosophical, so I may sound like I'm speaking poetry, but to be housed in yourself as a human being and to not be able to find you. You know how people say, well, I have to go off, it's not you, it's me. I have to go find myself. Well, that just means that they're trying to discover some things within them. It's like Brenay is a stranger in her own home, herself. She's a stranger inside of herself. And she does not take the time to do reflection, to discover her, which is why she is so distracted and obsessed with admiring others to the point where she wants to be them. Like, it's so weird. It's strange because these women exist. As a woman, as a woman with any type of rare qualities, the danger of having rare qualities is most of us, we're extreme. Well, if you're not a people pleaser anymore, you're extremely selective about the company you keep because you probably live like a very high moral life or what have you. Some people live a very strict life. Like I live a very strict life. So for some people, you try to vet the people that you allow to come around you. The thing here is that with narcissistic women like a Brenay, um, they can kind of hide their overt narcissism to a degree, and their dissatisfaction with themselves to a degree. But you can see it if you can see. You can clearly see the way that she treats herself, what type of person she is. But a lot of people don't try to judge people, so you give people a chance. So she mirrors normal qualities. Like she tried to make it seem like she and Akira were just two young married women, right? So they will find some level of similarity and commonality with you, and they'll use that as bait to reel you in, to humanize themselves, to get what they want. But they have an agenda, and they do have an objective, and that objective and agenda is to rob you from you and leave you spiritually speaking and figuratively speaking, destitute, confused, and feeling empty. That's their job, is to come soul snatch from somebody that's whole and healed. And so a lot of people are like, well, why that person don't ever really be around nobody and this person is stuck up? No. Once you have gone through betrayal and you survived it, where people have tried to rob you from yourself, you know that these people are soul snatchers, they're energy vampires, and they come to kill, steal, and destroy and leave you broke, busted, disgusted, and scratching your head trying to figure out what happened to you. They shake you down and rob your essence and take your soul and break your heart and destroy your mind and leave you a shell of yourself. And they do that strategically through finding commonality. Then they'll mirror that normalcy and then ease in and then love bomb you with all of these compliments. The minute I see you overly complimenting me, I ease back up off of you. Because what do you want? I know I'm loving. I know I'm pretty. I know all kinds of things about myself. I don't need you to tell me that. I grew up with a father that told me all that my whole life. So once you have self-love, people can't come love bomb you with all of these admirable compliments and, oh girl, cut up then, clock it. Yes, sis. Oh girl, looking so good. All of this stuff. You know, the thing that they compliment you the most on are the things that they want the most. You guys could be just very opposite, extremely opposite. But if they overly compliment you on certain aspects of yourself, those are the things that they want. And I can guarantee you, over time, those are the things that they're going to be behind the scenes praying against, hoping that you lose it. I'd be very mindful of what somebody keep bringing up all the time as it relates to me. Because why are you bringing it up? I don't care if I'm just being honest. After you've gone through it, you become very hyper aware of these things. And it's like, ugh. You keep bringing up, like, let's say if your person got a lot of degrees and you're very well educated and, have a lot of academic accolades, and it's, girl, because ain't nobody as smart as you. You master degree, doctor degree, like stuff like that. And it won't be having nothing to do with anything. Yes. Everything. Oh, this so nice. Oh, this. Listen, I've dealt with it. I've had clients who dealt with it. Um, Even if it's just something normal, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It could be anything, and they'll make it seem like it's everything. Ooh, your home is so nice. Ooh, your home. Ooh, your home. But secretly behind closed doors, they're hoping that you end up homeless. They're hoping that you lose your job so you won't pay your bills. When I tell you these people are some weirdos, they're weird. Oh, your car. Oh, I love the color of that car. I love the this and that. And hoping that you get into a car accident and hoping that listen, these people they're not right. They're not right. Oh, girl, because I love the way that you are with your family as a wife and a mother and all of that. And they're hoping that your marriage break down and hoping that you and your spouse argue and whatever. And given the opportunity and how you can tell about these people, because one thing about toxic and dysfunctional and narcissistic, jealous-hearted women in particular, I talked about this with one of my clients. You can test them and they can pass these different tests. Okay. They are some great manipulators and they know human psychology. And many of them are spiritually intuitive too, but they use their spiritual intuition for darkness. So they can be positive things, but use it for evil. And let me tell you, the only thing that they cannot outrun, like they can pass tests, but they cannot pass the test of time. They can pass every test, but they cannot pass the test of time. So the thing that I've noticed with narcissistic women, if you suspect that somebody may not be for you, because the Holy Spirit will convict you, it'll give you a gut feeling that something is not right about this person. What you do is you have to start pacing them, like slowing the interactions down. Once you start dragging the time down, then you'll see in time. They cannot outbeat time. They can beat other stuff, but they can't beat time. Time will tell. That's why they try to rush you with things. They try to love bomb you. They meet you today and, oh, girl, it's like we're long lost twins. It's just like we're soulmates, girl. It's just like, it's like, yeah, I'm an empath too. Yeah, I'm this too. Everything you are. Oh, yes, girl, I love that too. Oh, girl, I do that too. And you'll make up something. And you'll just make up something just to see if they'll agree with it. And if they agree with it and you made it up, that's how you know that this person is out to get something. They have an ulterior motive because I just made that up. I just made that up and you agree with me. No, you just trying to yes me and charm me to disarm me to get what you want. And it doesn't always have to be money. It could just be your essence. It could just be you. They're trying to crack the code on you. You are a human being, but they're looking at you like you are something to be studied. They're seeing you as some conundrum or some type of mystery person. And they're trying to get to the source of all of your goodness. They want to get to the source. They want to get to the plug of who you are and what makes you who you are, the makeup of you. That's how you know these people they're demonic. They're soulless. They're trying to get to the plug of the person, the source of all of your goodness. And then they want to try to siphon and put a cord there and then siphon and funnel all your goodness to themselves. And then they only use goodness as a performance. They can never embody it, but they can perform it, but not forever. They cannot pretend to be you forever. And that's what I love about the backfiring of destiny swapping. They can try to cause you harm, to push into the shadows of your own life. Because when you betray people and you cause trauma to people, it pushes people to kind of become a recluse from people because now they have people phobia. So you kind of go into the dark and isolate yourself away from people for a while. And that's when they get their time to shine. And that's when they try to be in your energy, your light. And people for a time will think that possibly there are all of this that you really are because they force you off the scenes of life. But once God give you that confidence and that bounce back, and you understand that you are up against a principality and not a person, and that there's a spirit on that person, and you're able to combat that, and you gain your confidence back, and you come back on the scene in your own energy, they get so mad. Because how can you compete with me pretending to be me, when I'm here? Right? That's why they try to fracture you to make you go run somewhere and hide. That's why people like these people, they get in packs. If you could see this situation, it was a lot of this situation. It was Akira, it was Tim's mother, Tim's sister, Tim, Corinne, all of Brenay's family, like a little pack. Okay, spiritual people call it a coven, but it was really like a little pack of people sending negative energy her way. But the whole time, she too had her own shield of protection around her. In addition to God, she had her mother, her grandmother, her father, her attorney. She had, her friends as well. And I believe that was a buffer to kind of filter that negative energy and that toxicity that they were sending to Akira. But they thought they were just going to bully Devin and Akira, and that they didn't have any backup. They really thought that they was going to bully these people off the scene and just run away and live happy. I love to see it play out. Time. That's the thing about life, time. Because with Akira's attorney, Miss Robin, she talked about the humiliation that Akira faced. And that's for anyone who dealt with like very malignant narcissistic people who have tried to betray you. Some people have even gone far to try to really get people off this planet through jealousy. Like they really want to rob you of your mind, your emotions, your spirit. And if they can, if it get very bad, they'll take it further and try to set you up and get you up off this planet. But if none of that works, you're faced with the humiliation and the shame that they've given you, because, God will put it on you to not defend yourself, because vengeance is his, not yours. And you'll just feel compelled to not say much, right? Because it's like your hands are tied. It doesn't matter what I say. The narcissist has gotten to everybody before me. And they've created a narrative, and you feel like you're outnumbered with the narrative. And even though people will know your character, we're talking about like it could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be people that actually built rapport and relationships with you. But the narcissist got to them first and convinced them through money. Sometimes the narcissist will have a higher status than you. So the narcissist will use their job title, their status, or something is leverage against you, and people will disrespect you to make this narcissist comfortable. So you will be outnumbered, and you're sitting there suffering in silence, the real victim, and this person will be running around victimizing you behind the scenes, pretending on the front end in front of everybody to be the victim, and everybody will rally around them, leaving you isolated and alone, and your voice is silenced. And then you consult with God, and God will even put it on you to tell you to be quiet, that this is a time for you to work on yourself. It's during those times that people discover they need to love themselves more. They need to show themselves grace more. They need to stop pouring into all of these people. You get to see that everybody who was with you wasn't riding for you. God will kill two birds with one stone. He'll allow you to see the hearts of the narcissist, but then he'll allow you to see the weakness of the people around you. And then the covetousness and the jealousy that the narcissist has for you, those other people have the same jealousy for you too. And it takes one big bad narcissist to come along and to reveal the hearts of the people that are around you. When it is not favorable for people to be associated with you, that's when you get to see who really loves you. When your reputation is on the line, when people are slandering you and saying things opposite of your character, when you lose your money, when you lose your job, or lose your health, when you lose maybe a loved one or something like that, that's when you get to see the hearts of the people around you and how they really felt about you. Because it's not profitable to be associated with you. Right? There's no money involved. There's no social status here. So when it looks like you're losing everything, including your good name, your identity, because if you are an integral person and you live your life in integrity, if someone's lying and making it seem like you're the liar, then they are attacking your identity. So now you have somebody that committed identity theft, figuratively speaking. So for a small season of your life, it's like you're doing time for a crime you didn't commit, because this person got to everybody, and the people that they got to didn't really care for you for real, or they are too weak to stand up for you. Either way, they are a liability to your life. So God will reveal that to you. And then you'll have people that you least expect to show up on the scene for you, to create a safe space for you and be your refuge out of the midst of all of that. That's how you know God, man, God is so amazing. He's so good. If you are a person who you realize everybody around you was weak and they folded, and you may be the strongest person that you know, God will send you strangers on your behalf to vouch for you. That is how powerful he is. If you are his, he will never leave you destitute and alone. Never. People would come far and wide to say, I can relate to your story. That too is my testimony. That's how you know, man, God is so amazing. He is so amazing. And this is for anybody who feels isolated. And I know for people, women and men alike, who have had narcissistic people to turn their world upside down, to make them lose jobs, their reputation, their good name, to make their community turn against them, to make these people, look at them wrong, put them in the wrong light. And it has been hell. And you see a situation like Akira, and in your heart, you may be like, man, I wish people would have stood up for me. Let me tell you something. When you put yourself out there, even while you're going through the storm and while you're in the darkness and you're dealing with the betrayal of it all, if you just put yourself out there and step out on faith, other people, strangers, will resonate with you, and these people will see your spirit and connect with you, and you'll start to get your own community and your tribe. You ask God, give the right people the eyes to see me and the right people the ears to hear me. God, allow me to be understood by those who matter. And once you put yourself out there and you get out of hiding, because that's what that narcissist and those community of haters, they want you to go hide. But once you stay on the scene of life and you gain the confidence, even while dealing with the heartbreak of it all and the betrayal trauma of it all, you are going to meet your people. And once you meet your people, those people will ride for you harder than people that you know your whole life. As a matter of fact, people that you've known your whole life will flip on you quicker than a stranger who know you in the spirit, because those people are your spiritual family versus people in the physical. Sometimes you just outgrow people and they'll be jealous of that. And you've been knowing them your whole life. Could be your mother, could be your father, could be your cousins, could be your aunts, your uncles, could be people you've been knowing your whole life. But they will side against you just because you've outgrown the version of them that you had, the version of you that they had in their mind, or what they want to be comfortable with when it comes to you. So it's like, he'll never leave you isolated and alone. Never. And this is what I love about this case. This is what I love about everything associated with this situation. It is a lesson of a lifetime. It is. Because as you can see, and it's going to be even more big profile stuff like this. You're seeing narcissists who have gotten away with stuff in the past. They're all going down like dominoes. They're falling down one by one by one. Regular common people who have made other people's lives hell, they are being drugged out of the dark, where they used to get away with stuff. They used to be able to hide behind their status and their money and their popularity and, all of this. It doesn't matter who's willing to vouch for them and enable them and lie with them. When it is your time to face judgment and consequences, you will face judgment and consequences. Period. It don't matter who you are, who you know, what you got. You will face the consequences of your actions, because that is the universal laws of life. Whatever goes up must come down. And whatever you do to others, it has to revisit you again in some shape, form, or another. You will never get away with the energy that you put out towards people. It will always find its way back to you. And you can use anybody you want to try to buffer through that energy, because narcissistic people have a way of using human shields to buffer the energy. That's why they never are alone. They go from person to person, friend to friend, relationship to relationship, because they use those people as energetic shields to buffer the energy. Because when they go and destroy somebody else, they'll get up under another person to get in their energy, and they'll use that person to kind of lessen the blow of the consequence. So some people in the East call it karma. In Christianity, we call it reaping and sowing. So they'll get up under a new person to use their energy to buffer the blowback. So once the blowback happens, once they start receiving some type of consequence, it'll hit that person and then it'll ricochet to them. So they'll get some blowback, but they won't get it all because another person is right there to kind of catch the fall. When I tell you they are some wicked warlocks and witches, they are some crazy people. That's why when I see narcissistic people going from relationship to relationship, friendship to friendship, job to job, they're just a vagabond in the spirit. They're buffering. They're running away from consequence. They're running away from accountability. They are unstable in all of their ways. That's how you know that they're getting karma or they're reaping what they sowed, because they jump ship. Wherever, if they left you somewhere destitute and pronounced you DEAD and caused you harm and dogged you out, they're going to go to the next person. They're going to try to buffer their energy with them. They're going to stay there for maybe a year, 2 years or something like that. Use that person as an energetic shield. They're going to do that person the same way. Then they're going to jump to the next person. Whoever they jump to after the person after you, that's how you know that they're receiving judgment in their life. Once you start seeing them jump like a frog on a lily pad, that's how you know. You don't have to know, because narcissists, they wear a mask and they put on a front. And especially when they know they've done people wrong, they don't want their victims to know that they're getting consequences and receiving judgment for what they did. They try to make it look like they've gotten away with it. So they're great pretenders. But the way that you know that they're receiving judgment is when you start seeing them on the move. When you see them on the move, going from this person to that person, this relationship to that relationship, this job to that job, because they're not going to just stop, because they have to keep putting on a facade like life is going well and I get away with everything. You don't have to be the most spiritually astute person to study patterns. Once you see them jump ship from one thing drastically to another, whether it's going from house to house, anything major, that lets you know that's a sign of instability. They are on the run from some type of consequence. It's easy to study the pattern. That's how you know. That's why people don't. That's why people don't like people of the light, because we're observers. I don't say much. I just watch. Okay, you don't have to tell me you're facing the consequences of your. I know. I can see it. They don't get away with anything at all. And anybody associated with them, they get the blowback as well. That's why they stalk people and monitor and all of that type of stuff. It's a sad way to live your life, man. It is a sad way to live your life. And looking at this Brenay and Akira, it is a sad way for Brenay to live her life, because for the rest of her life, if she does not get some real help, that lady needs deliverance and some intensive therapy for years and years. If she does not, she is going to run herself into an early grave for a young woman. She's already living in her karma. You can just look at her life, the decisions that she makes, the way that she reacts to the consequences of life. Everything is so immature. Everything lacks class. It lacks decorum. And everyone around her does not mean her any good. Nobody. Brenay has no friends around her. Her husband, her now husband, he's not her friend. The mother's not her friend. Her twin sister laughs in her face at different times. She's not her friend. None of those people care for her. Now she's lost the public's perception of her, money that she owes out, like nothing. The only way that she finds some type of temporary comfort is in food. And that's not your friend, because it's processed and it's junk, and you're going to end up in an early grave. And as you can see, even the food is turning on her, because it's not real food. It's comfort food. It's junk food. And with gluttony, it's a satiation. Like it's an insatiable appetite. You'll never be able to feel satisfied with gluttony. So you got to get more and more. I think they say she spent like $11,000 on takeout and dining out at like chain restaurants. Like that is That's nothing to laugh at. Like, I'm not fat phobic or like body shaming her or anything like that. But like, that is an indicator that you are self-destructive. You're on a self-destructive path, and you're not even a friend to yourself. You're trying to find ways to escape. And all of that copying and all of that trying to taunt Akira through the copying, all of that stuff that she's doing, that is also a form of escape, because you're trying to escape from your own dissatisfaction with yourself, your identity, and who you are, to try to poke at someone else, to get some type of temporary high off knowing that you bothering somebody. All of that stuff can be seen through. You can see through that. And it's such a tragedy. But anyway, I could be here repeating myself because that's all I'm gonna do. It's like reword everything I just said. I just wanted to get on here briefly to say that I'm so happy for Akira. I know Devin has his case coming up. I pray that he gets a favorable outcome for that. Akira, I think, has a cyber stalking case coming up on December the 9th with Brenay. I'm praying for a favorable outcome on that. I really do pray that the judge over that, presiding over that situation, bans Brenay. I pray that the judge bans her from being on social media and make her get up and go get a regular job, to be honest with you, because I feel like she used social media as a medium to taunt and to harass. And if you're using it to do that and you're trying to say, I needed to make money. Well, if you needed to make money, then why are you putting it in jeopardy? Why are you putting your job in jeopardy by using it as a weapon against somebody? So if I was the presiding judge over the cyber stalking case that's about to come up, I would definitely ban her from being able to get online, because you're not using it for what you say you're using it for. You're using social media as a way to keep tabs and to taunt the plaintiff. So I would definitely ban her from being able to post on social media. I don't know if they can prohibit her to do that. I don't know if that's legal. I know that woman that lied and said somebody hit her with a brick, she can't be on the internet for 10 years. So I would definitely prohibit her from being on social media, well, posting on social media. And I would definitely order her to get a real job if this is your means of income, because clearly you didn't care about it being your means of income, because you've been weaponizing it against the plaintiff. So yeah, get up and get a work from home or FedEx or something. They're always hiring. Do something. But I would definitely prohibit her. What you say? Great message for humanity. Stay in the light, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to you, Mo is Beauty. Most certainly. She won't. She's set in her ways. People like her don't change. They do not change. And it's so unfortunate because she's 26 years of age. And as long as she has enablers around her who create a safe space for her to do what she does, it's not going to stop. For as long as broken people have broken people around them, they will always have company. And that's the thing. There is no incentive to stop, right? Because like, you're not going to get excommunicated because y'all all share the same commonality, and that's codependency. They're all codependent on each other and they don't want to appear to be alone. And the sad part about it is Brenay will never be able to go out of her house alone without looking over her shoulders. She's going to have to always be with someone, like they're a chaperone, if she stays in the state of North Carolina, unless she get like a breast reduction and do like a major image change. But even that, it's like, it's not worth it. That is not worth it. Because the people are not stable. Some people have a personal vendetta against you and they don't even know you, but they just don't like what you did to those people. And you have to look over your shoulders and stuff. It's just unfortunate. What you wanted for them has become a manifested reality for you. I did discuss narcissism. You're late. I've already talked about that. So glory be to God, Auntie. So glory be to God. It's all God. It's all God. I'm very thankful. But anyway, guys, I thank you guys for your time, space, and energy. I pray that for those of you guys who are like Akira, waiting on your justice, because a lot of people are. A lot of people, maybe they don't have, like I said, going back to this, maybe they don't have legal counsel and they haven't had the means to do anything to this magnitude. And maybe you're waiting on some type of justice, because I always say this whenever I get on here. Maybe you're just waiting on some type of justice, and you haven't seen any real shift as it pertains to what has happened to your life and wanting to see the right judgment for the people, right? So it may look like people have gone on, people never acknowledged what they did to you. Years have gone by, and you are, picking up the pieces of your life and trying to live to the best of your ability, but you want some type of justice. Most of my clients that I've talked to, these people want to see something happen, right? Because illegal things have happened to them. It wasn't just smearing and slander, which is also that's a civil suit, right? Right. If you can prove the evidence that somebody has really slandered you, and you can prove the evidence and it has caused you any type of pain and suffering, you have to go to therapy, as well as you lost jobs, opportunities. You can actually plead your case without an attorney. You can build a case and actually go to civil suit and sue them within a certain statute of limitations, I think. But if it wasn't like that, and it was even something a little bit more sinister, and you want something major to happen, and I don't know what that looks like, right? For some people, they wouldn't even express what they really want to happen because it may not be right. I'm here to tell you that the justice that you really want to see, that you will never be able to see it until you release your hands off of that situation. And I know that you feel like if you just keep an eye on it and wait around, that, whatever, years of your life will go by and that person will still be on this planet, and they're still going to appear to be moving on with their life while yours is stuck in limbo and you're stagnant. I'm here to tell you that God is moving in the spirit on your behalf. We don't know what type of justice is going to happen for you, what that's going to look like. But if you release and let go and forgive for yourself, right? Not forgiving them, but forgive for yourself, to cut the yoke and the tie that is binding these people to you by releasing them and giving them to God, and just letting God handle whatever the judgment will be in terms of that situation. Because who knows? Some people, because we don't know, we're not God. Some people may actually, in their privacy, ask God for forgiveness for what they did to you. We don't know. Some people may actually repent and say, God, I did that person so wrong 2-3 years ago. Because I've been in a situation like that, where I was broken in my life and I did somebody wrong. And then 5 years later, somebody did me wrong. And then I went and found the person 5 years later. And I went everywhere on social media trying to find the person, because it was a part of my healing journey to tell this one particular person that what I said or did to them back then, please forgive me. And that person had forgotten all about it. Like, oh, I don't remember what you did or said. But I wanted them to know that I too was in your shoes and somebody did me the same way. And I feel like the way to balance the spiritual scales is to tell you, I'm sorry. So just because people have not acknowledged what they did does not mean that they won't come to their conscience years down the line, as God is elevating you and moving you from glory to glory. You might end up in a better place where they did not expect, and they feared it, and they really didn't want to see you there. But if it is God's will for you to be in a certain position and status in life, you will be there. Nobody can interfere what God has for a man or woman. So if you end up popular or famous or in some type of notable place in life, those people, they will feel so regretful, because unfortunately human beings are very superficial and they don't have no connections and no access to you. And you turned out to be everything that they feared the most. And even in spite of all of their efforts to break you down, God still put you where he wanted you to be. And those people will live with a head and a heart full of regrets. And that's justice enough. The fact that you became your best version, which is what they feared. You moved on with your life, which is what they feared. And you get to live a life creating amazing memories, which is what they feared. And even though they have to pretend like they're moving on as well, it's not to the same degree of the existence that you're living. And they know you were a good person. And by you being in that status, you would have shared your blessings with them. And they don't have a way to pick up the phone and say, hey, how you do? Nothing. and you are a blessing or an addition to somebody's life, I can guarantee you right now, regardless of what they say, they are missing having access to you to some degree. And that is justice enough. All right, that's your recompense. So I pray that you will receive closure today or anytime in your life, hopefully soon, so that you can go off and live a life of fulfillment and satisfaction, because you deserve to thrive just like any other good-hearted person who is more of a solution than a problem to this planet. So God bless you guys. I hope you guys have a favorable rest of your week. If I don't talk to y'all, because it's Monday, if I don't come back on here, because there's no telling, I have a masterclass that I am running right now. And for those of you guys who are new here, I'm a trauma recovery coach. If you need any one-on-one sessions for any reason, going through spiritual warfare, narcissism, going through trying to turn your pain into purpose and actually use that pain to transmute and alchemize to get access to spiritual abundance and prosperity, you can see my link at the top of my page, and it would be my honor to be your coach. All right. Talk to you guys later. God bless.